2015 election coming up, who are you going to vote for? There's lots to consider, isn't there? You know, in terms of policies. Well, let's be honest, there isn't. There isn't really, is there? They're much the same. What there is a difference between, though, is what their views are of shooting. Now, if you look at the Conservative Party, pretty pro-shooting. Nothing particularly big on the horizon that's pro-shooting that they've proposed, but there's nothing anti either. And I know if you contact your MP, if you've got a Conservative MP, generally speaking they're very pro-country pursuits and hunting and shooting and all the things that we like to do. I know on the Pigeon Watch forums they're very big on contacting their MPs and then posting what their responses are. And on balance, I would say, I don't think I've really ever seen anything from the Tories that was anti-shooting. So that's good on their part. The Labour Party is extremely hostile to shooting, and in fact in their manifesto they've proposed to increase the licence fee, I think, to something like £200 or £250, which is just ridiculous, to be honest. I mean, we have just had a price increase, you can see the increases behind me, but that was very much in line with inflation. I mean, you're talking, for a combined licence it goes up by like £10, and I think for an initial application it goes up by maybe £40 or so, something like that, which is completely reasonable when you consider that the price hasn't changed since 2001. So, you know, I think that's fair, to be honest. But £250? I mean, what the hell? Where's that coming from? I mean, the Labour Party have said, oh, we want to pay off the deficit. Yeah, right, as if 750,000 people paying £250 is going to pay off a debt for hundreds of billions of pounds. I don't think so, somehow. What that really is them getting at us, because they perceive us as being, well, maybe upper class or something, which is obviously completely inaccurate, but certainly they perceive us as being right-wing, and so they want to get at us, because they know we're not going to vote for them anyway, so they feel that they can just stick the knife in if they can do. So avoid Labour avoid Labour like the plague if your priority is shooting. Also, you've got to consider, if Labour do get in, there's a very strong possibility they may end up in a coalition with the SNP. You know what that means, don't you? It means this joker back in. Now this man, Salmond, is so bitter that he lost the Scottish independence bid that he's decided that he's going to try and undermine our democracy by going into a coalition with Labour, forcing Labour into a coalition, and then forcing them to borrow huge sums of money and injecting them into the economy, giving loads of money to Scotland by taking money from people in London and things like that. It's almost like he deliberately is trying to make the English hate the Scottish, so the English eventually tell the Scottish to bugger off and kick them out of the Union, so he eventually gets what he wants to anyway. And obviously we know what Salmond's like when it comes to firearms. I mean, we've just had the airgun licensing debacle, which I don't believe has actually come to fruition yet, but that's fairly indicative of what this guy thinks about shooting and country pursuits. You combine that with Labour's general hostility anyway, and for us guys, it's a recipe for disaster, frankly. The other party to look at, of course, is UKIP. Now, UKIP are actually extremely pro-shooting. In fact, all of the letters and emails I've seen sent to UKIP MPs, they've not only said, well, no, yeah, I'm pro-country sports, but they're very, very enthusiastic about it. In fact, quite recently, I was invited, well, Tom's apparently said that we've been invited on a charity shoot for UKIP, a clay pigeon shoot. Not that I'm going to vote UKIP necessarily, probably not, to be honest, but it just goes to show, if you're a single-issue voter, they really are the party to go for, or indeed the Conservatives. But it's a pity, isn't it, when you look at this, that we're forced into this position. I mean, we're caricatured as being right-wing, and we end up having to vote right-wing to protect our rights. But really, the Tories don't represent me, you know, nor do UKIP. They're not really what I believe, generally speaking. But I'm forced into this position because we have so much bigotry coming from the Labour Party and from the SNP, and especially from the Green Party. What choice do I have? I mean, the only other choice that's there is possibly the Liberal Democrats. After all, the Liberal Democrats have had nothing in their manifesto particularly hostile to shooting. But I know from emails been sent to Lib Dem MPs, they are very hostile. Most of their MPs are very hostile to shooting and hunting and fishing and country pursuits generally. So then there's no way I can, in good conscience, vote for them. And which is a pity, because really the Lib Dems are supposed to be a libertarian party. I mean, they're pro-gay marriage, they want drug law reform, they want laws which are progressive, which respect individual rights until those individuals cross the line and do something wrong. which is the way I see everything, really. I mean, if somebody wants to, take drugs, or they want to shoot a gun, or they want to, do whatever with their sexuality, that's their business, and the state have got no right to interfere in that until such a time comes that they cross the line and do something that's criminal, in which case prosecute them for it, hold the individual responsible for their own individual actions. But instead it seems the Lib Dems have kind of jumped into the mentality of Labour when it comes to that one issue, even though the rest of the things that they talk about, they are quite libertarian. With that one issue, they just want to have this big nanny state and hold people like me responsible for the actions of some nutter, which has got nothing to do with me. So it's very strange, because I know our American viewers will be a bit confused now, because in America the word liberal is generally used for the opposite of what it really means, because liberal means liberty, it's a libertarian perspective. That's what the word comes from. So if you are a liberal, you should be pro-shooting, you shouldn't be anti-shooting. But it seems that our Liberal Democrat Party is no different to the so-called liberals in the States, as where, when it comes to most things, they're quite, pretty liberal about most things. But when it comes to shooting, they suddenly become the opposite of that, which is very disappointing. So, what do we do? I mean, to a large extent, I understand where Russell Brand's coming from. I hate to say it, when he says don't vote for anyone, you're supporting the establishment, it's all corrupt anyway. And yeah, he's right on the big issues. You can't get a sheet of paper between them, frankly. So, you might as well vote for something that at least affects you personally. The only other option, of course, out there is the Greens. And the Greens are quite laughable, for it, to be honest. If you actually see their manifesto with shooting, it's just insane. I mean, they want to have 12 people vouch for you for a firearm certificate. 12! Who've known you for 2 years. And it specifically says in their manifesto to discourage loners. I mean, for goodness sake, what else are they going to put in there? What, to discourage black people, or gay people, or whatever else type of people? I mean, how bigoted is that? But apparently that's what their manifesto is. It does look like it was written by a child, if I'm really brutally honest. If I can find that manifesto, I'll have it up behind me at the moment. I've had a little trouble finding it. I know Firearms UK showed it a few weeks ago, and that's where I saw that. But yeah, it's laughable. The Green Party are a joke. In fact, if you look here,
cost of 500,000 homes. Let's start with that. How much is that going to be?
Right. Well, that's you got a total cost that will be spelt out in a manifesto.
So you don't know?
No,
no, you don't. Right. So we don't know how much those homes are going to cost, but the way it's going to be funded is mortgage relief from private landlords. How much is that worth?
Right. Well, what we're looking at in terms of the figures here, what we need to do is actually we're looking at a total spend of 2.7 billion.
500,000 homes, 2.7. What are they made of? Plywood?
But basically, what we're talking about is 500,000 new homes, and basically each £1 spent on this brings back £2.40.
No, but what is the total cost of 500,000 homes?
It's about a cost of 60,000 per home.
60,000 per...
Mm-hmm. Because what we're talking about is the opportunity
but that can't include the land.
You can see that their leader was, I'm sure you already know about this, but you can see that their leader was interviewed recently. And, it's laughable, really. She can't back up any of her policies. She hasn't costed anything. She doesn't really know anything. It's just some sort of weird, super left-wing, pretend party, to be honest. I don't know why they're even remotely taken seriously. But that's that. So, even if shooting's not an issue, don't vote Green, because that's ridiculous. If you are interested in shooting, you've got a choice between UKIP and the Conservative Party. I hate to say it, you really have, because anybody else is turkey voting for Christmas. But either way, of course, it's up to you. Do what you like. Do what you feel is the right thing to do. But give me some feedback. Let me know what you think in the comments. If I've missed anything, let me know. Any links to anything that's to do with this, I'll put in the description. So let me know what you think.